Welcome back. Today, I won't be discussing another demo, but instead, I will be taking you into the production on one of our tracks, Degeneracy Runs Amok. And I'm going to show you every step along the way from start to finish, from creating the project to completing the project. Now, obviously, that won't all be detailed in this video, because that would be hours and hours long. Instead, I'm going to break up the video into chunks. So I might have a video on producing drums for a song, or a video of recording guitars for another song, or a video on layering vocals. That way you can go through and look at each one, and it also makes it easier for me to edit because I don't have the bandwidth or the skill to edit hours and hours of video footage. So now, with all of that out of the way, let's swap over cameras and get into the Reaper session. The first step in making any kind of music is to open up a DAW, a digital audio workstation. I use Reaper, as you can see, but you can use whatever you like. I've used Ableton, I've used Logic. They're all great. They're all going to accomplish the functions you need them to. I just prefer Reaper. I've customized it to my liking. And you'll notice that mine does not look like a stock download that you might have off of the website. I've just made modifications to my liking. All the functionality remains the same. So let's go and open Reaper. Normally I have a writing template, but for the purpose of this video, I have created a blank template with just a little bit of master bus processing and track templates. So the first thing you should do with any session that you open, new, old, whatever, find out where it's saved and where all the media is being saved to. Now I've already set up all my preferences to auto save, to save media files inside of a subfolder, etc. I can do another separate video on all of that stuff. I've taken a lot of great ideas and tips from other Reaper YouTubers, like Reaper Tips, Reaper Mania, all those guys. They're way more knowledgeable than I am, so I didn't need to reinvent the wheel, so I just took their ideas and ran with them. So the first thing we're going to look at is saving the file. Save project. You'll see it auto defaults to save in this folder. We're going to call this Degeneracy Runs Amok. This will create a subdirectory, which is a folder where all the media will go into it, and we'll save. All right, now that the project is saved, now we're going to start working on getting some tracks in here. So now that the project is saved, we have to take care of a few more things. We need to get the tempo correct, and we need to refer to our notes to know what kind of key and what we'll be putting into this song. So I will refer to the song chart. This song is at 160 BPM, and it's in B major. You can change the song tempo in the project settings, but because this song has tempo changes, I prefer to do it in the master bus lane. So you just go to this. You can see here it's at 120. You just double click this, 160. And now, any time along the song that I want to change the tempo, I can just go into here and I can raise or lower the tempo of the song accordingly. You'll see why this is useful later on when you're recording and fine-tuning your tracks. Now we need to get some tracks in here. There are a couple ways you can approach this. If you are a multi-instrumentalist and you play everything on the song, it doesn't really matter where you start if you know what you're making. But if you're a guitarist or a drummer or even a bassist, you may want to put those into the song first as your guide scratch tracks. For me, I usually start with drums and I build drums, bass first, and then record guitar. So that's what I'll be doing for this song. So now let's get some drums in here. Now I use writing templates. So I have a track template with drums on it. So for this one, I'll be using P5 drums from Get Good. They sound awesome. I already have a template set up with them. Now you'll notice there's no sound coming out of here. And you may be wondering why. And that has to do with how sounds are routed. All sounds have to be routed to your master output. So in order to hear audio, you need to have this routed to your master output. But because we're going to have this mixed and I'm going to be building a lot of tracks, I always bus my audio. Bussing? I'll explain more on bussing in a future video, but suffice it to say, you're sending all of your tracks into one track to be treated together. So I usually have all my instruments going into an instrumental bus, and I have my vocals going into a vocal bus. So let me go and add an instrumental bus here, right here. Drag this up here, and now I will drag this up to the instrumental bus, and now my drums are running into this instrumental bus, which is running into the master bus. And this instrumental bus only has 2 compressors on it. I straight up stole these settings from Nolly. They're good, and there's no reason to reinvent the wheel when there's people out there that are better at this than I am. So we're going to exit out of there. And now we'll open up drums. Look at that. Drum sounds. And they're full turbo too. Because I will not be mixing these drums since they're writing templates. I keep these drums with this processing on so that I don't have to use plugins to get close to the sound that I'm going to aim for. Now we have drums. Sick. What do we do with them? This is the point where you could go in and, with Electronic Kit, play in the parts and use the MIDI, which is what I've done in past productions, and it works great. I can't drum to save my life, so I don't do that. You could also go over here, turn this guy on, and finger drum them in. I have done that in the past as well, and it works. But for the purposes of this song, and for this video, I'm going to use MIDI packs. So you'll see here, as we go into the Groove Player, I have MIDI packs here. We're going to use these MIDI packs to create a basic beat that we can play along with. We can program bass to it, we can play guitar. Yes, you can play everything to a click. I'm fully aware. Trust me, playing to a drum beat will inform your playing, and you'll be able to make a lot more decisions more rapidly. So let's go ahead and pick something close. We'll just do like, I don't know, this one. We don't want anything too crazy. This one's close to what we want. Yeah, we're really looking at something like halftime, maybe. Okay, this is like a chorus beat. Maybe this isn't going to work out the way I thought it was. Let's rock. They're doing too much. Alright, this may or may not work. Okay, here we go. Finally. It may take some time, but you just have to go through and find one that's good. Alright. Another pro tip. Never start at the very beginning of your session. Trust me, just start somewhere with a buffer. Let me turn this off. Start somewhere with a buffer so that you have some space to work with. I usually like to start on the 30-second bar. It's just a weird thing that I do. So let's go ahead and drag and drop this into here. Can we do that? Can we not do that? Oh, shit. Well, all right, let's go ahead and just go to the MIDI. I can just find this MIDI. This is 90 BPM. Song 6. Song 6, pattern 4. We'll just drag and drop it this way. There we go. Okay. What you saw there just now was the drum mappings not matching up. So you'll see that my default mapping for this kit is P5, which GGD has specified for this kit due to the pieces in the kit. If possible, you want to keep your drum mappings in GM, which is just the general MIDI mapping. I forget what GM actually stands for, but this will allow you to move MIDI packs across multiple MIDI instruments. And if you use a lot of different drum libraries for different flavors, this is essential because all your MIDI libraries are going to look different. And as we'll get into later, it will change your MIDI mappings in Reaper as well, which you really don't want. All right. Now, this isn't perfect because the drums are being hit way too hard, but it's a start. So let's go in. Start looking at this MIDI. Okay. As you can see, my default mapping is not correct. So we're we're going to go in and name these. As you can see, I use named events, not keys for drums. So this is kick. We're going to get rid of all these down here. Kick. As you can see, the farther left you hit, you click on this guy, the lower the velocity. So let's go ahead and go to snare. Like that. Cool thing on Reaper is, in this mode, you don't have to change your MIDI mapping. You can just move where the notes are located by holding command. So just command and boom. Now the MIDI mapping remains the same, but the kick and snare are next to each other, so that it's easier for you to see them. First pro tip on programming MIDI drums. Try to avoid 127 whenever possible. Kicks, on GGD packs at least, sound much better around 95 to 105. So we're going to go ahead and lower. We're going to right click and lower all these kicks to about 96. There we go. You can hear the quality of the kick sounds much squishier and more thuddy. Same thing with snares. The snares in these packs sound much better between 105 and 114 or so. 105 gets a little weak. It's not quite a rim shot, but 114 to 110 is a rim shot without being so loud that it's just like clanging in your ears. So we're going to right click on the snares. We're going to lower all these snares down as well to about, since this is the verse part, 110. See, now it's still pretty loud. I might lower them a little more. And these ghost notes, which I'm probably not going to use, doesn't really matter. We'll ignore those for now. Let's lower these snares down to 104 to 107. There we go. Nice moderate. We're going to have to go in and figure out what all these are. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. So we've got kicks and snares. We've got crashes. Let's figure out what crash this is. You can always use the MIDI map in Reaper, and you can just hit and open up your interface and you can see what's being hit. Or you can go back to the keyboard. You can see the key right here, C#3. There's always this weird offset of 1 octave for MIDI stuff. I'm not sure why this occurs or why programmers haven't fixed this. I'm sure there might be a fix that I can use on Reaper's end, but when you click this C#3, this will actually be C#2. So let's go into settings. C#2 right here. This is left crash, and you can confirm this inside the editor. Left side crash. So this is, we'll go ahead and just name this crash left. So left crash, crash. You might be wondering, why do I name it like that? It's the left crash. It's not the far left crash. And the second part is the articulation. So left crash has a crash, and it also has a bow, I believe. Yeah, it has a choke, my bad. So that's why you name these things. The way you name them will matter. Left crash, crash, right there. We've got kicks, snares, and a crash. We're almost done with the song. I'm trolling. We've got a long way to go. So, let's go and zoom out here. Now let's get the toms. Let's figure out where these guys are at. Okay. That's the hat. It's going to be floor tom 1. Floor tom 2. And the rack tom. Okay, notice how these are all separated. Kind of cringe. So we're going to move these. Boom, look at that. MIDI is still mapped the same, They're all just moved. So let's move them down here. All the shells, I like to have them all together. So when I write my sick-ass fills, all the shells are all next to each other. Yeah, now we're getting somewhere. And then you just work your way through this until you've mapped everything. And once you've mapped everything and you can see the lanes, then you can start modifying and changing things, and you actually know what you're manipulating. For the hi-hat, you're going to have to go into your program itself and look at the mapping, because the hi-hat has a shit ton of articulations, and you don't really want to be guessing them between like edge tip and edge open and tight tip and tight edge, because I'm not a drummer. Maybe drummers can hear the difference, but it's a little hard for me to hear the differences sometimes, at lower velocities especially. Look what we got here. What is all this? Let's check it out. Nothing. No idea why that's up there. Probably mismapped. Let's see if that's supposed to be hi-hat. Okay, that's open hi-hat for sure. For hi-hat, generally they're all in the same area, as you can see here. So I'm going to go back and to the keyboard and then look for it here. Okay. Tip tight's F sharp 1. See, like I said before, this is F sharp 2. This is actually F sharp 1 in the mapping. It's tip tight. There it is. Tip tight. All right, let's do tip closed. This is pedal. This one's kind of easy. I can actually hear what this one is. Pedal chick. And this one is... See, this is what I don't understand about this. You see this? Open 3, A sharp 2. This is actually A sharp 2. But when you look at this tip tight F sharp 1, you go to F sharp 1, nothing. You go to F sharp 2, no idea why it does this. A sharp 2, open 3. This is the most open position. We're going to add in the rest of these just shortly, don't worry. Let's get all the hi-hats together here. I like to keep the hi-hats just above the shells, and then keep the crashes up higher. This is China. China right here, E2, E3. China, crash. This is the big bell. This is the reason why I like this kit. This bell is incredible. It's like the loudest bell I've ever heard in my life. This is like the breakdown bell you hear at hardcore shows, where everything just stops and they go, this shit's awesome. Alright, this is a hi-hat. What is this? F sharp 3. F sharp 3. Never heard of her. This is tip closed. This is a splashy boy. These things are kind of a meme, in my opinion. This is like a drummer symbol. You ask anyone that's not a drummer, they're not going to know what one of these tiny little splashes are. And if you just hit one, it's not very impressive. But when you weave these in with other stuff, it makes some pretty cool little flourishes, which is what I like them for. That and stacks. Very good for like flourishing. These three symbols right here are like your small little articulations you weave in. So splash, that would be crash, this is G2. So this is splash, crash. This sounds like the right crash. Yeah. This is the ride, the crash ride thing, whatever. Yeah, this is the crash, right crash. Okay. Right crash, crash. This is a hi-hat. A sharp 3. This is open 3. Oh, I mislabeled them. This is open 2. This is open 3. Cool. Let's figure out where this, the stack is assigned. D sharp 2. D sharp 2, the ride. This is the bow of the bell. So this is ride, bow. You can really weave these two together, so it's not just the bing, 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 bing. Sounds more realistic. Now we need to go in and see all these blank ones. We need to actually add these in because we don't have any crash left, far left. We don't have all these articulations, which these aren't that big of a deal, but I really do want the stack, and I want the rest of the hi-hats because those are pretty essential. Bring this guy down here, open 2, open 3, tip closed. We need to get edge tight and edge closed. So we're just going to do, let's see, do we have G1 assigned? We do. We'll probably just grab random notes. Yeah, we'll just grab this. This will be edge. Let's do edge tight. And then we'll do edge closed for this one. Pedal is G sharp 1, so this will be A1. If anybody out there programs with MIDI, I don't know if it's just me, but can you please make it make sense? Because this is like slightly annoying that they're off by 1 octave, and then you make a list like this where you have dashes and sharp markers, and it just, this list is not useful. It's very hard to figure out where you are when you open this list. For instance, you might be confused into thinking that this is A1 right here. This is actually A-1, as you can tell from this minus. You would be forgiven if you didn't realize that A1 is actually down here. So A1, let's see. Edge tight. Well, let's go to edge closed, which is going to be B1. Oh, B0? B1 must be close to it. B1's actually really far away from it. Edge tight, edge closed. All right, now we're going to do open. We'll put open here. Open 1. Open 1. This is A sharp 3 for open 3. So we'll make, this is going to be G sharp 2. So G sharp 2. G sharp 2. Open 1. Open 2. Open 3. Now let's go ahead and drag these. Let's see what this sounds like. Oh shit. Putting the Riz on it. Let's move this down to edge closed. You can see as you move it between tip and edge, you get a different feel. Yeah, look at that. See, completely changes the feel. Now imagine if you move this to open. So let's move this to open 2. Completely changes the feel. So let's move this up to edge tight. Actually, we're going to tip tight. Nice and tight. Previously, when I told you never to use 127 with kick and snare, it's okay to use the higher velocities for cymbals, at least with this library and with most GGG libraries. The cymbals sound pretty good at 120-ish, and the hi-hats have never really sounded bad. I will say varying the velocities is still helpful. Alright, I'm new to this whole process, and I accidentally shut off my camera in OBS, so didn't see me on this last part, but we're just going to keep going. So we've got the far left crash choke. Let's see. We're just going to keep adding them on here. It doesn't really matter where they are on the keyboard because I'm not going to be playing them on the keyboard. I'm just going to be programming them off of this menu right here, which you can rearrange the notes. And even if I was to play them off this keyboard, it would make sense for them to be closer together because you don't have to reach so far to play. So this is going to be crash far left choke. This is C3. Yep, C3. The left crash choke. C#3. Now again, you may not have to do this in your DAW with your drum library, but rest assured this amount of time taken to go through and map everything out will make it much easier later on when you want to add various accents, and everything will be on the list and you can just click it in and it will speed it up. Also, I'm going to be using this map for the writing for the rest of the album, so this time up front will be well spent in order to ensure that your writing in the future is faster. In DAWs, every time you do something the first time, it's time consuming, but then afterwards you always have a template to go back to, and you can iterate and build on your systems. All right, left crash, crash right, right, crash, bell, D3, which doesn't really sound like a bell, but I guess it's on the bell. Yeah. Right crash bow. D#3. This one kind of sounds like a bow. I don't find myself using these ones very often. Might use these in some of the softer songs, but not in this song. And then the right crash choke. Definitely want this one. So this will be F3. I don't even know if it's possible to choke a little splash like that. Like, I don't know if you could hit it and reach. Like, it's so small. Like, it doesn't have a lot of sustain anyways. I don't really understand the process of choking it, but whatever. See, like, for instance, moving the notes around is really useful because you can see splash choke here, splash crash down here. They're really far apart, which doesn't make a lot of sense. There's no choking the stack because it's two cymbals stacked on top of each other. Let's see. F#3. Love the stack. And then the stick click, really this is kind of an effect. Sometimes I use it in demos, but you're not really going to use this in full productions. Unless, well, actually in this song, I guess I am using this. Although I'll probably record it for real, because it's like a loud yell. But we'll put it in here. Let's do the stick click down here. B0. China choke. Again, no one's choking Chinas. I've never met a drummer that has ever choked a China. I guess maybe I haven't worked with that many drummers, but I've never seen it. I only see Chinas in hardcore breakdowns and for crashing during like a chorus. And that's really all I use them for. China choke. This is G3. Now let's go ahead and get these other ones. So cross stick, I might actually use that one. So cross stick. That would be A#0. And wires off, I mean, the only thing I can think of for wires off is like a Breaking Benjamin style thing. They did it in Saturate. I think they had a song where they had wires off for like the verse, and it kind of sounded cool, but it's like another tom. May find a way to use this. This is on A0. So let's see. Snare wires off. Snare cross stick. CC, this is for use on electronic kits. So I have a Roland 17 KVX kit, and the CC controls the movement of the hat. I've found that for this library in particular, for anybody that uses eDrums, GGD has a video on how to set it up, but I have had varying success with that. It's a lot easier just to go into your kit and specify per zone for the hits in your hi-hat. That will give you a lot more precise articulations. On Roland kits, it's really easy. You just hit the piece on the hi-hat, whether it be open, closed, edge, bow, whatever, and it will give you the MIDI, and then you just change the MIDI on the kit to match this mapping, and I think you'll find you'll have a lot better results that way, because I had a problem with the CC not registering fully closed or fully open, or not registering in between. I think that's probably my only criticism of this library, is that the integration to eKit is not that great. Alright, so we have the mapping done. Now let's go create our template. We're going to use this template for other songs as well. This MIDI map at least. So let's get all the hi-hats together. Hold Command, edge tight, edge closed, open one. From most closed to most open. Makes sense to me. Now let's get the crashes. So we'll do far left. We'll do left. I like working from left to right. Let's do left crash, crash. Left crash, choke. And then we'll do the right crash. We'll do the ride on its own. We'll do the China on its own. Generally speaking, I like all the cymbals to be close, so I can see the interaction of the cymbals and how the drummer's striking them. Because generally the drummer is going to be doing one driving cymbal, or they're going to be weaving cymbals in with their shells. So the shells will be moving around, or they're doing like triplets, or they're doing some kind of doubles, or some kind of left, right, right, right pattern. And they're going to be weaving cymbals in with them, or they're just going to be striking the cymbals like normal, or they're just going to be hitting the hi-hat like normal. So cymbals aren't that complicated, just keeping them all together is helpful. Keep all the special ones separate. The little tiny ones. Okay. And then we'll move all this stuff down because we don't actually need this. So now that our mapping is complete, we can go in and save this and export it so we have it for the future. You go to File, Note CC Names, Save Note CC Names to File. So this will be our P5 note names. Okay. And now you can load from right here. So if you ever don't have this in the future, you can just load it up and it's already done for you and everything will be mapped accordingly. The other thing you can do is you can go in, now that you've done all this in this file, you can save this. So save map as your first custom one, so this will be custom 1. This mapping is now saved, and you can load your custom 1. I'm also going to save the snapshot, that way if I ever need to recall this, I can just pull up the snapshot. That might be a lot. MIDI drums are very time consuming, but once you have a rhythm, a groove, and a system in place, you can bang them out really quickly and really get your song patterns set up so that your writing is much faster. It's just on the front end, it's a little more investment of time. Back from a short break, back to drums. Got this first beat. Now I know this song starts with a sample that plays up to the intro riff, and the intro riff is kind of this chord voicing that's kind of played in an arpeggiated manner. I know that I'm going to need to pull out some kicks and snares out of this. Oh, maybe it'll work. I've shown you how to take a little MIDI groove, make a map and modify it. And that's cool and all, but what happens if you want to move drums from one library to another, or if you have MIDI from another library that doesn't match your mapping over? This could be a little bit painful, and to demonstrate this, I'm going to show you how I'm going to move my old drums from Superior Drummer 3 in a project from last year to this project. So let's go and open up my old project. So this is Superior Drummer 3. This is the drum groove that I made for Degeneracy Runs Amok last year, and it matches up really nicely with the bass and has a lot of nice little articulations. Here's that those drums for you. So you get the picture. There's a lot more articulations. I spent a lot more time programming those. They're not exactly the right velocities for GGD, but I want to take all that work I already did and then drop it into GGD. In Superior Drummer, you export MIDI like this. So export song file as MIDI. I'm just going to export it. I've already done it for demonstration purposes. I'll just do it again. Save, overwrite. Now, if this was easy, you could just drag the MIDI file into Reaper, which I'm going to show you. So let's just try that. Zoom in where we want to drop it. Take this MIDI file and we will drop it right here. Okay. And then what I also discovered from my old project was that the intro is actually 70 BPM. Trying to play that at 160 would be very difficult, and you'll see why. So let's go ahead and make this 70. 160. So, you'll immediately notice that that doesn't sound the same. And that is because those articulations are on different MIDI notes. Again, this is the importance of keeping all of your MIDI programming aligned so all your kicks and snares and hi-hats and everything matches up. Because if you don't, then this will happen to you. So, the way we're going to get around this, instead of going in and going to have to grab all these notes, you know, like grabbing all these notes, trying to figure out what they belong to, because, you know, I don't know what any of this stuff belongs to. These aren't aligned to the left crash choke and left crash crash. The kicks and snares seem to be all right, but all of this stuff down here, I have no idea what that goes to. So instead of just dragging the whole file in, we're going to export it one piece at a time so that we know what we're importing. So exit out of this. We're going to delete this, delete that. We're going to go back to Superior Drummer, and this should work. We're going to mute out everything, except for the kick. Export song. We're going to do dgen kick. Export it over there. Save. And now, this should just import the kick. And it does not. Okay. Alright, we're going to have to go back and just delete all the notes. There's probably an easier way to do this, but I don't know what it is. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this. Just pull me out. So we'll just circle everything. And we will delete. And then we will export. Dgen kick. Save that. Replace. And then we will undo. And now we will go through and do this process for every single note. I know there's got to be an easier way to do this, but this is how we're going to do it here. So delete that. That's the kick. So we're going to get that. And we're going to delete everything else but the snares. Delete. And now we will export this as dgen snare. And then we will undo. And we will delete everything else. And I'll be back when I'm done with this. I should have known I can just click and delete. Anyways, you learn something new every day. We will do the cymbals together. We'll do the China separate, so. If I use the command, it does it in Reaper for some reason, even if I click inside the window. Don't know what that's about. Alright, so we'll just do ride. And let's undo all that. Alright, now we will bring all these in one by one and add them in here. So, dgen kick. Sure. Alright. See what I mean? There's just these random kicks that weren't there anyway. They weren't there because in Superior they have an articulation that's called kick and then hit for some reason. I don't know. I think it's the difference between bearing the beater and then bouncing off the head. But in GGG they just do that via velocity dependent hits. So I'm just going to drag these down here. Cool. And that's double bass in the faster part, which we're going to fix. Okay, so kick is good. Kick is good. Let's do snares next. Yeah, so you can see that in Superior Drummer, you can see here in Superior Drummer, they have so many different articulations for snare, it's wild. Kind of overcomplicates a little bit. We're going to have to probably edit and or get rid of some of these. These are flams. I'll just manually move these. Still too loud. I gotta go in there and modify that a little bit. But now let's go ahead and close that. So I have discovered that, again, Reaper Tips has helped me out here. And I already had this custom action. I just had to go find it. It's a custom action to merge MIDI. So when you lay MIDI on top, it will mix and then you merge it together. Right now I have the snares and kicks. When you click on this, you only see snares, but you hear kicks because there's 2 MIDI items here. You're just going to select these items like this. And then for me, it should be Option Shift Merge. And now they're merged. So now you see kicks and snares. I'm going to do this with all the rest of the MIDI after I figure out where it is until I merge all my MIDI into one track. It might be easier to pull it into separate tracks. So you have hi-hats, toms, cymbals, the ride, and finally the China. And then once I discover or remap where all these go, then I'll merge them all into one file. All right, so I open up the hats, and there's a lot of information here, and there's no mapping. Go here, File, Note CC names, Low Note CC names, P5 MIDI note names. Now you have all this. So now you take all of these and you line them up with whatever hat articulation. Superior Drummer has a lot more hat articulations than GGD, but I can approximate based off of looking at the mapping which one is which. Come down here, I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to look at these. I'm going to go and mute the tracks that I don't need. Just like busing audio, if you don't send MIDI, it's not going to read MIDI. So let's just go here. Turn this send off, like delete it. It's not going to hear any of this. But as soon as you send it, now you hear MIDI. It's the wrong MIDI, but you hear MIDI. We need to take all of these and line them up with these hat articulations. And we're going to do that by looking at what's going on with this hat. This is probably going to be the most time-consuming part of this. Let's start with a simple one, tight edge. We've got 2 notes, 2 notes, and then 3 notes in the intro. So this one should be pretty easy to find. It's this one right here. So this is tight edge. So let's zoom in here. So Command Shift, and you just drag this down. So this is edge, this is tip tight. Let's go back. Or tip edge. Tight edge, I should say. I could move it there. Actually, I'm gonna move it back there. Edge tight. Now we have these notes here, 2, 2, and 3 as well. Let's go back and see what that is. That is tight tip. They're slightly ahead of tight edge. So the notes that are ahead are tight tip, and the ones that are behind. So these ones need to come down, and these ones need to come up. So we got tip tight and edge tight done. Now let's go find some more. Open edge. This one looks kind of hard to figure out. Open edge has a lot of notes and then 3 at the end. So it might be easier to figure out. Or it's this one right here. Let's zoom in, see where the first note lands. First note is on the 3. Yeah, it's on the 3. Whereas this first note, yeah, I think it's this one. See if the first note lands on the 3. Yep, it's on the 3. All right, so this guy is open. This will be open 1. Since open 0, I think in Spirit Drummer is similar to open 1, if I'm correct. Yeah, so many articulations in Spirit Drummer. I mean, it's cool, but you don't need this many articulations, and it just overcomplicates things. So we got open edge. Edge, and then, let's see, edge 1 looks like first note is on the and, the 4 and, no, the third measure. First note is on the 4 and the third measure. I probably should start taking notes so I don't forget these. So, edge tip, edge tight and tip tight are good, and open 1 is good. Oh my god, these rhythms are crazy, dude. I think this is closed tip. Yeah, this is closed tip. Yep. Okay. Make sure that's good. There's no notes at the end of it. Yeah, we're good. All right, so closed tip is good. I'm just going to delete them from here. That way I just know they're good. So edge tight. Delete those. Tip tight. Close tip and open 1. All right, open edge. I did open edge 0. Yeah, I did open edge 0, which there's only 3 opens in GGD and there's like 5 million in Spirit Drummer. So we'll delete those. Open edge 1, I think, occurs only on the, wow, is that the 1E and a? 1E and 2E and It's on the 2 Huh, that's crazy. And there's only what? A couple? There's 1, 2, then there's 3, and there's 4. Oh no, that's open edge 2. So I'm going to combine 1 and 2. Yeah, I'm going to combine 1 and 2. So this is 2. And this is kind of confusing. Okay. So that one's good. That one's good. Open edge 2. Open edge 1, I think, is the 2 and as well. But it's the next measure. It's this one right here. 24. Sounds kind of crazy now, but once we get the pedals in there, it's gonna work, because the pedal chicks will mute those. 1 is good now. Like those. And I'm going to combine 3 and 4 into 3 on GGD. Second measure, the 2, 3, 4 and 4E and, yeah. So it's on the 4E of the second measure. That's probably the... This one's got to be the pedal chicks, and this one has to be the last opens. Delete that. Actually, 2. You can also look at the MIDI. These are 80. This is 87, and this one is 101. So just go in here, look at this shit. 87. Yep, 87. This has got to be it. Move this down to open 3. All right. So we've got all these articulations good. And then once we drop the pedal in there, this will all make sense. Huh. Yeah, the open pedal might make this kind of complicated. I don't think there's an open pedal articulation in GGD. Yeah, there's not. Okay. That's fine. We will deal with that when we get there. Oh, closed edge. Edge closed. Yeah. That's edge closed. Okay. Oh, there's the waltz. Yep. That's definitely waltz material. As you can see the time signature here. Yeah, 100% waltz. All right, now let's listen to it and see if this actually sounds good. This does not sound the same at all. Now, it doesn't sound the same. 1, because it's not the same. But 2, combine these real quick. Shift option. There we go. It's also not the right tempo. 70. I may just use the Superior Drummer hi-hats for this. That definitely sounds weird. I may just go back to Superior Drummer. Maybe I need to make them even more uniform. Yeah, I think I should make it more uniform. GGDs are definitely a more uniform kit. There we go. Yeah, they don't take very well to... There's also no cymbals. Okay, after much suffering and tedious work, we have merged all the MIDI. Let me go and delete these remaining tracks that we don't need anymore. Starting from the intro, we now have GGD playing this. Snare is too loud still. Too much velocity. But at least some of the timing is better now. Got the fills in there. With bass and guitar, this will make a lot more sense. is not in there. All right, let's go ahead and go in here. There's supposed to be a choke here. What are these notes here? These are China chokes. I lied. I actually do use China chokes. There we go. It's like that. Right there is where the time change occurs. I think the time change is like, let's see. One, two, three, four, one. I think we do here. Let me go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's a blast beat. It's like. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now we can probably split this off like that. Splash me something shit. See, now that sounds good. This is the first verse. Wow, that fill actually sounds much better than it used to. We'll do kicks. Classic right, left, right foot, left foot, right, right, right. Yeah, the 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, classic move. This, I don't know if drummers actually play this. Sounds cool, but it's a lot of tom. This is a very standard groove. Okay, so for blast beats, I'm not an expert in blast beats, but you got to be careful about your snare velocities here. Now, if you listen to this, snare velocities are not high enough for this library. In Superior Drummer, they were super loud, and GGD, they're not so loud, because I think GGD is more tailored towards those kinds of styles, whereas Superior Drummer is more all around. This blast beat was originally inspired by something you might not guess, which was the blast beat from the Death Grips song, Giving Good People Bad Ideas. Death Grips is a band that we don't sound anything like, but a band that I drew a lot of inspiration from while we were writing this album. That blast beat at the end of that sample in the intro is just awesome. And basically it's just an 8th note beat with kick and snare on the same one. But for our purposes, I wanted to make this snare a 16th note to where it gets more of a driving, like, sound going instead of just a 8th note, just da 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 da. So that's what we're aiming for with this. We're going to go to the end of this part and we're going to split this. Right there. So all of these snares are just going to be manipulated inside of this. Let's see if we can just bring these up. I'm also hearing that the kicks aren't loud enough either. Oh, the kicks are offset. That's not good. There we go. Get rid of that guy. Might need to actually just delete every other snare. Let's see if this works. Might just need to straighten it. I also think the hi-hats need to be straightened out as well. To just be straight, just... Let's see. Yeah, it needs to be more consistent. Yeah. The machine gun style. Let's see if we can get these kicks. I'm not completely sold on this yet. So this is what you don't want to do. You don't want to do machine gun style with this where everything's super even, because this sounds super fake. Now, if you're making electronic music and you need that super consistency and you're not going for realism, then fine, go nuts. Just go 127, just like this, and just go crazy. And we may end up blending these in underneath of drums. I may take one library and just 127 it out and then blend that up as a sample for this part just to enforce it. So I keep some realism, but I keep that consistency and punch. I'm probably going to end up doing that with this because one library alone isn't consistent enough for the power that I want while also being realistic enough. Okay, so we're just gonna put this one to the side for now until we can figure that out. But this is first verse. So I think I'm gonna call it for part one for this. Obviously we didn't get a lot done, but as you can see, some of this stuff is very time consuming. For part two, we will add bass to this. We will continue mapping out the song with regions. I'll show you how to organize your verses, choruses, bridges, and build out your regions so that you can add and move things around for arranging the song. Until next time. Dude, that's crazy. We need to stop that. That needs to be stopped.